Imagine your Saturday. You tap play on Netflix, grab a drive-thru burger, and scroll new iPhones while your old one wheezes at 3%. It feels like three simple purchases. It's actually a parade of little toll booths, some called taxes, some called fees, some hiding inside the price tag. Start with Netflix, because it's the quietest bill that somehow always goes up. In many places, streaming isn't just a subscription, it's taxable amusement, or communications. Chicago famously slapped an amusement tax on streaming, and other cities piggybacked with their own versions. Some U.S. states treat streaming like cable and add utility-style surcharges. Outside the U.S., value-added tax, VAT, almost always applies, and a growing list of countries created a digital services regime that forces foreign platforms to collect local tax from day one. You don't see paperwork, you just see a higher monthly total. That extra 2 to 20% isn't Netflix being mean. It's the government asking your binge to chip in. You can't opt out of legal taxes, but you can stop paying more than you need to. Annual billing often locks a lower base price, which means the tax rides on a smaller number. Student or household plans reduce the taxable base as well. If you run a legitimate business and your streaming is used for work, say you're a video editor who reviews content, a teacher using documentaries in class, or a bar paying for a commercial plan, match the right license to the use so you can book it properly. In VAT countries, a VAT-registered business may be able to claim input tax on qualifying subscriptions. A consumer cannot. The point is simple. When it's personal, accept the tax and hunt for a lower plan. When it's genuinely business, document it so you don't fund it twice. Now the burger. Groceries often sit in a favored tax lane. Raw ingredients can be taxed at a lower rate or not at all. Prepared food? That's the government nudging you with a pricing stick. Many states and cities tax restaurant meals at a higher rate than groceries. Some add targeted meals taxes that only hit hot, ready-to-eat items. Then there's the soda plot twist. Sugar-sweetened beverage taxes in cities like Philadelphia and Berkeley aren't national VAT. They're local health policy levers. The result is a stealth surcharge on fountain drinks and bottled sodas that make combo meals quietly pricier, even when the menu font looks friendly. Toss in disposable container fees popping up in eco-focused jurisdictions and your milkshake suddenly has a civics lesson built in. It's not about guilt, it's about choices. If you buy ingredients and cook even a few times a week, you swim in the grocery lane where tax is lighter. If you do eat out, watch for extras that aren't tax, but spend like tax, delivery platform service fees, driver benefits, surcharges, regulatory recovery line items, and the occasional mystery fee with a heroic name. Those aren't government taxes, they're private add-ons. Tip for value, not for guilt, and compare the total in-app with walking in. 10 minutes of pickup can shave a third off the final bill because the invisible fees vanish when your feet do the driving. Let's unwrap the iPhone. The sticker price is only the first act. In the US, at the register, you'll pay state and local sales tax, which can push a $999 phone well past 4 digits. In parts of Europe, VAT is included in the shelf price, so you feel the pain up front rather than at checkout. Some regions add a recycling or e-waste fee on electronics with screens. California's electronic waste recycling fee is a classic example. Those are small fixed amounts per device, but they're real money that only shows up on the receipt. Buy through a carrier and a new set of not-quite taxes appears. Administrative fees, regulatory cost recovery fees, E911 surcharges, universal service contributions. Some of those are government-mandated pass-throughs. Some are carrier-invented line items that smell like taxes but feed the carrier's costs. The effect is the same. You budget for a phone and quietly adopt $2 to $5 a month in eternal extras. There are honest ways to dull the sting. If your job requires a phone, your employer should cover or reimburse a reasonable portion. If you're self-employed, document the business share so you deduct it correctly under your local rules. In VAT countries, a VAT-registered business may reclaim the tax on a work phone. A consumer can't. If you're traveling internationally, know that importing a phone can trigger customs duty or import VAT at the border, unless you're just carrying your personal device. Ship one in the mail to yourself? Expect a bill from the courier that includes tax and a brokerage fee for the privilege of being the middleman. The thread connecting these purchases is that modern tax systems love to live in the background. Sales tax in the US is added at checkout. VAT abroad hides inside the sticker. Local levies borrow familiar names: amusement, communications, meals, so the bill looks less like tax and more like Tuesday. And even when it isn't government, platforms have learned to copy the visual language of taxes to make their own fees less punchy. You can still win, but you win with awareness and a handful of habits, not with magic. Start with the receipt. If a line says tax, accept it. If a line says regulatory recovery fee, look it up. If it's optional or private, switch plans or vendors. On streaming, audit your subscriptions twice a year. If a household of 4 is paying for 6 platforms and watches 2, you're just funding tax on boredom. On food, treat delivery as a luxury. In many cities, the app stack can add 10 to 25% in fees before you ever tip, and tax often applies to the inflated subtotal. That means you're paying tax on the fee, not just on the fries. Pickup turns that math back in your favor. On phones, buy what you need, not the most expensive storage by reflex. Sales tax is a percentage of the phone's price, so every unnecessary upgrade quietly grows the tax too. If you're a small business or creator, the field tilts further your way once you play by the rules. A restaurant streaming for commercial ambiance follows different licensing. Do that, and the cost becomes a clean business expense. A production company's phones, tablets, and software are tools. Book them, keep invoices, and claim the right reliefs. A cafe's delivery fees are part of cost of sales. Model in-store pickup promotions to steer customers toward your lowest tax, lowest fee path. If you're VAT registered, reclaim input VAT on qualifying purchases and avoid paying VAT twice because a vendor forgot your VAT ID. The government isn't trying to trick you, it's asking you to be organized. Zoom out beyond Netflix, burgers, and phones, and you see the same patterns everywhere. Game consoles and laptops pick up e-waste levies and sales tax or VAT. Hotel rooms stack occupancy taxes and tourism assessments onto the base rate. Ride-hail trips include sales tax or V8 plus regulatory city fees and sometimes air train add-ons to airport rides. Airline tickets blend passenger duties and segment fees into the fare. You don't need to memorize names. You need to develop an instinct to look beyond the base price. Once you do, you notice that half-off Burger Tuesday still costs more than cooking, that $9.99 streaming is really 10-something, and that a free phone with a 3-year plan is a subscription to a bundle of fees for as long as your patience lasts. There's also a global twist. Order an iPhone case from an overseas shop, and the courier may collect import VAT and a customs handling fee at your door. Subscribe to a foreign streaming service and you'll often see your home country's VAT anyway, because platforms are required to collect where the customer sits. Roam with your phone and your streaming turns into data, and your data turns into a different kind of tax, per gigabyte charges that behave like a toll road for the internet. Download content on Wi-Fi before you travel, and you've just sidestepped the priciest tax roaming can levy on a long flight's worth of binge. One more invisible charge deserves its name, even though economists argue about it. Inflation behaves like a tax when governments spend more than they collect and the price level rises. You don't see a line on a receipt called inflation tax, but you feel it when a burger costs more this summer than last, and the sales tax on the higher price silently rises too. That's not a political statement. It's a reminder that the best defense is to adjust habits early rather than hoping last year's budget somehow fits this year's prices. So what do you actually do the next time you tap buy? Before you start the free trial, check the total with tax at the annual price and the monthly price. Choose the cheaper effective rate and set a calendar end date so the trial doesn't become a lifetime donation. Before you order dinner, put the same meal in the app and in your head if you picked it up. If the delta hurts, take a walk and keep the cash. Before you sign a phone contract, price the same device unlocked plus a low-cost plan, then add the carrier's fees to the contract option and compare total cost over the life of the phone. If you run a business, match every recurring cost to a policy. Is this consumer or commercial? Is the tax recoverable? Are we paying platform taxes that we could avoid by switching vendors or changing fulfillment? There's a calmer way to think about all of this. Taxes on streaming, prepared food, and electronics aren't personal. They're the price of public things. Roads for the delivery driver, trash systems for the packaging, emergency services you hope you'll never need, fiber in the ground that makes your movie arrive on time, climate programs funded by soda taxes, whether you like the policy or not. You don't have to love it to see the logic. The question is how to use that system like a grown-up. Pay what you owe, skip what's optional, and buy in ways that keep your own goals funded.